The Royals Review Pod is back. Dan, Rami, and Jimmy here to dissect the Doncaster defeat, which, in my opinion, finishes the season for Reading. I think we've probably maxed out how high we can go, and signals a stoppage really for Reading's season. Jim, I'll come to you first. Have you got anything more positive to say than that after the defeat?
No, unfortunately not. It was a must-win, and we lost, and it's as simple as that, really.
Easy enough. Rami?
I don't have many words. For someone that writes for a living as well. But yeah, no, that was season over. I think it was for me. It was season over the Easter weekend, but the Doncaster just that kind of closed the deal completely. So they just have to prepare for next season now.
Yeah, I think that's the case. It's really annoying because I can't remember if it was all three of us or just me and you, Jim, that we were saying like, okay, if we are going to miss out on the playoffs, it's probably not the end of the world, but it would be nice to finish the season on a high. I feel like we're doing the complete we are doing the complete opposite of that. Like a defeat to Doncaster is not ideal. Seems like quite a lot of unrest with the fans. I don't know. It feels like we're starting to go a little bit backwards as a club in terms of the general sentiments on social media, which I know is not the barometer of how everything goes, and it is always heightened. But yeah, pretty sour. What do you make of all that, Jim?
Yeah, I fully agree. I think we're just starting to regress, like off pitch, on pitch. There's no accountability. Like the season's well and truly over now, and I just like we touched on it on the podcast, the last podcast. If we're not making the playoffs, at least finish the season on a positive and at least finish strong. But I cannot see how we're going to finish the season strong given the last few performances and given the fact that that must-win game is now, it is now lost. Yeah, how do you get anything out of the players now? And yeah, I just think the way that these last few matches have gone, it just doesn't scream positive whatsoever. So yeah, a big few games coming up for Reading. Not in the sense that we're I know we can still mathematically make the playoffs, but I think it's all for a different reason now. And that's just sort of like all finishing strong together and like united, I guess, rather than just all crumbling to pieces, which is kind of what it seems like is happening over the last few days. But like you said, it's reading what you see on social media is no way to sort of judge how things are. But yeah, I think it's pretty much season over now.
Yeah, for sure. Without talking for half an hour, Rami, what's gone wrong over the last week? Why are Reading now not playing very well at all? Why is there so much unrest? And I don't know. Yeah, what's going on?
I think it's mainly like a combination of the tactics that are on display and Richardson's post-match comments. I feel like if the post-match comments were a bit more, I'm trying to choose my words carefully. If he took a bit more accountability for the mistakes that his tactics caused, I don't think there would have been as much outrage as there is right now. But because the manager constantly puts the blame on the players, which is something that everyone's noticed, from the media to the fans to even the board, it doesn't bode well at all, because the players are just playing to the tactics that the manager wants them to play. So if you're blaming them, you're ultimately blaming yourself, but he doesn't want to take the accountability himself. So I feel like a build-up of having those same comments after every single game, and then the football not being up to scratch, and then especially at Doncaster, the half-time substitutions, when he even admitted, what Richardson admitted after the game, they were tactical substitutions, not injury substitutions, bringing on Will Keane and Matt Ritchie for Charlie Savage and Caden Young to bring on flair players when the players on the field were the flair players, is a bit it feels like he's lost kind of what to do, and he's gone into panic mode in terms of what to bring on. So I feel like a combination of all of that put together has just resulted in a combustion that I don't think the club, Rob, and the fans really expected, because the anger over social media that I've seen over the past few days, I haven't seen in a very long time for a football club. And the last time I saw that was probably when the whole things, well, from a Chelsea fan point of view, everything was kicking off about Enzo Maresca being fired. So it's it's
yeah,
not
and
really...
I think, sorry, Rami, just to jump in there, I guess from like a Reading fan standpoint, we saw this before with Paul Ince and the comments that he used to have post match, which really sort of ground the gears of fans, especially on social media. And we all saw how that inevitably ended up. And I think that's all still quite fresh in a lot of Reading fans' mind. But I think you summed it up perfectly, Rami, really. How can you expect to fix an issue if you can't accept that there's an issue in the first place?
Yeah, exactly. So that's where we are now.
Yeah, all very exciting. I mean, I've had issues with Liam Richardson's post-match comments for pretty much the whole season. But I think a key point, though, I mean, I have issue with it because as a fan, I just think they're slightly ridiculous, some of the excuses he comes out with. But not taking any accountability just completely ruins any confidence that the players have, which seems a strange tactic when coming into the back end of the season where there's a lot of games and really need everyone to be upbeat and try and get as many points as we can. To constantly call them out seems like the wrong decision. But now that it's been flagged, and it sounds like kind of a majority have flagged it, maybe we'll start to see a little bit more accountability from Richardson and maybe slightly more, I don't know, sensible post-match comments. Let's have a little look then at some of the stats from the game at Doncaster. Again, they're not very pretty. Reading dominated in almost every metric. And in fact, I wouldn't mind betting that if we'd come up against a side with slightly better going forward than Doncaster, we might have lost by more than one goal. But the big stat that stands out for me is it's another game where there's very few attempts, particularly on target for Reading. One shot on target. I think I posted earlier, only two teams have had fewer shots on target in April so far than Reading, which, I mean, you're not going to make the playoffs if you're not having any shots on target. Do you think we're starting to really rue's the wrong word because nothing we can do about it, but are we really starting to notice that Jack Marriott injury, Jim?
I don't think that's the reason. I think that would just be an excuse. We've seen that Kelvin has improved drastically over the last, couple of months, well, since Marriott's been out, and he can score against some of the bigger teams in the league. So yeah, I don't think this can be put down to Marriott not being in the side. We've got goal scorers. We're just not finding them. If you look at the heat maps, if you look at the touches in the opposition's third, like that, it doesn't add up. Like we're not creating chances, but we have these massive possession stats. So there's just a whole lot of nothing going on, really. But yeah, I think putting it down to Marriott not being in the side is an easy way to look over it.
Yeah, you do have to question the heat map shout that you've had there is very good. I'm looking at the touch map currently for Reading, and I mean, there's very little in the opposition half, which is not ideal. 610 touches, and the hottest parts are in Reading's own box. That's a slight concern, really, because you can look at the shots on target and how few there have been, but you're not going to really be having them from your own box / own half. I know Lewis Wing is pretty good at long distance, but not quite that good. What do you make, Rami, of the kind of drying up of goals for Reading recently?
I think from what I've seen, I think the goals are looking, or since Jack Marriott's been out, has been a focus on getting more of the wide players involved and also having shots from outside the box from Savage and Wing. But it's just not working because the other teams are they can easily suss out what Reading are trying to do. And the times we have scored goals or really done well in front of goal is when we've actually used Kelvin as a striker, which is very much credit to him, and it's a credit to James Beattie for working with him over the last few weeks and months, really, to get that tenacity out of him, to let him use his physicality a bit more. Like some of the headers he's been putting in have been like great. Like he's using his strength to push like defenders out of the way, and like even that Luton goal, I think the BT said it after during a pre-match press conference ahead of Doncaster, where he said, "I loved his Luton goal because he put the fullback and the ball in the back of the net, and that's what we want to see." So it is a bit of an odd one because Kelvin's not getting much service, and that's been an issue within itself. Daniel Chirrell has been great to see him back in the squad. He's always dribbling really fast and does his bit, but if he doesn't have the support around him, he can't really do much, and he doesn't have that support. And Dorset is a defensive player. He's not great at getting ahead and helping the winger in terms of having two on the left side. He always kind of hangs back because he's not fast enough to get back into a defensive position. So I'm not really sure where the issue is and why it hasn't been resolved, especially because it's the same problem every game. It's not something new. Mm-hmm. Like even the goal against to bring us back against Lincoln was from a set piece. It wasn't like it was open play. Reading weren't doing much in open play. They had to bring it back through a free kick, Lewis Wing wonder kick, which is amazing. It was a beautiful free kick, classic. But you can't expect those to be the goals that win you games or draw you games or whatever it is, because once you start relying on set pieces like that, you just falter, and that's what we've seen.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the shots that we had against Doncaster, and 5 of them are from the edge of or outside the box. Kelvin not having a single shot in the 90 minutes just proves your point even further, Rami, that he's just not getting the service he deserves maybe not be the right way of putting it, but as a front man, you'd like to be thinking you're getting a chance to have at least one go at it, which again suggests that the tactics need tweaking. One positive though, Andy Rinomhota getting more than 1 minute. That's great news, I think, to see him back and in a position to play again for Reading. And then to see his post-match comments saying that he'd be delighted to stay at Reading. I'm pretty happy with that. What do you think, Jim?
Yeah, agreed. I think it's long overdue. I know the majority of the fan base, if not everyone, has been calling his name, wanting him to start matches or at least be involved. So yeah, great to see him back. Hopefully he can start hitting the heights that he was at when he was previously a Reading player. But he just offers, going off of his previous time here, he just offers so much energy in midfield, and I think that's something that we've definitely missed. Wing, fantastic player, our best player. Is he the fastest? No. So I think it could really complement him as a partner in midfield. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens there. But yeah, hopefully he can get some more game time under his belt between now and the end of the season, then see what happens in the future.
Yeah, there was a moment in the Doncaster game where, for one reason or another, I think there was 3 of the Doncaster players running through on goal with no defenders between the ball and Pereira, and behind the striker running, you could just see Rinomhota and Roberts, to be fair, busting a gut to get back. And I think that's a real big strength of Rinomhota's and something that this team could do with, because Fraser and Wing, for all their strengths, and I'm not knocking them at all, they aren't the most agile and they aren't the quickest, and I mean O'Connor and Williams aren't either, so maybe a little bit of fitness and pace in there could be a big help. The only other positive I have from the Doncaster game, Rami, and we've covered this before, but maybe let's go over it once more, is just how important and good Joel Pereira is. Any words on Joel Pereira?
Said it a few weeks ago, and I'll say it again. I get slated for it every time, but I think he is one of the best goalkeepers in the league, if not the best goalkeeper in the league. I feel like he's often let down by the defense rather than his own mistakes. I think he's made a few mistakes, but not enough to be like, oh, he's a terrible keeper. I feel like he is top class, and he's built for League One and potentially the Championship if Reading get there in the next few years. But yeah, I feel like without him, it could have been 3-4-0 for Doncaster. Same at Lincoln, it could have been 4-0 for them as well if it wasn't for him. And again, you could go back to each game, look at the saves he made, and be like, Reading could have been in a way worse position if it wasn't for him doing his job. So he's a great 1v1 goalkeeper. Everyone's known that, and I think this season proved it even more with the Burton, Leighton, and Northampton as well. And then I think he had a one-on-one in at Doncaster as well. So yeah, he gives confidence to his back line, but unfortunately sometimes the back line of the midfield let him down a little bit. So he's often left in sticky situations where the ball could end up in the back of the net because he can't really do much. So
yeah, fair enough. I completely agree with you. I think he's the best goalkeeper in the league. I think he's one of the best goalkeepers we've had in a little while. Yeah, I won't have anything bad said about him. Let's not talk about Doncaster anymore because it's quite bleak. We've got 3 games left. How many points are we getting from those 3 games, Jim? It's Cardiff away. Cardiff at home, Rotherham away, and Blackpool at home.
I think we'll get 1 point out of those, just with everything that's going on and just how. Yeah, I mean, we've just not been playing well at all, and now there's not really anything to play for. Yeah, so I can't see us beating Cardiff. The point I reckon will be our home game against Blackpool. But yeah, it's not too much confidence if I'm totally honest over the next few games.
Are you more hopeful, Rami?
I'm more hopeful than 1 point. Yeah. I would say I'm going to say 4, which is just 3 more. It's just 3 more than Jim. But I think Cardiff have a point to prove. They're going to be wanting to try and catch up to Lincoln as best as they can. Obviously, they're promoted either way, but they just need to catch up and prove why they are the team that they are and how well they've done this season. Rotherham are fighting relegation, so that's going to be a tough battle for Reading. Obviously, when we played Wigan, they were fighting relegation as well, but I feel like they just didn't turn up at the SCL, whereas we're going to Rotherham's home. There's also emotion attached to that game because of Richardson's past there and Rinamota's past there as well. So it'll be an interesting game for sure, and I don't think it'll be easy for Reading to get the 3 points there, especially with the away form. I feel like potentially Blackpool could be the last game of the season. There'll be quite a big crowd. It's the last game, and you've got the owners that will be there as well to watch the game. So I feel like they'll spur them on to get the 3 points up.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the same as you, actually. I think the Blackpool game, there will be nothing to play for either team. And therefore Reading will probably get the win, despite Blackpool's form being quite strong recently, but they'll be safe. So I wouldn't worry about getting past them. I also, as I said, I want Reading to do all right in the last 3 games. Yeah, it's all been a little bit negative recently. So a couple of wins or a win in those last 3 will perk things up. Right, before we go, Rami, I know at the weekend you were on loan watch. Anything exciting to report from that?
Oh, yes. Rhys Evans scored the final goal against Slough. So it was 5-1 to Torquay. It was a bit of a... Yeah, it was a game and a half to watch. Torquay are doing really well. I feel like Rhys Evans being on loan there has worked a treat. He went in there when they're playing for the playoffs and trying to get promoted. So he's been helping them with that. I think he's got 2 goals now in a few games. So he's doing really well. He's proving why he was brought in. into the academy and why he's such the sought after player. Didn't see much of Basil Tuma or John Clark, unfortunately. Slough just didn't turn up. But there's also Boyd Beercroft, who did really well. They finished the season, or not finished the season yet, but they're safe. And him and Michael Stickland helped Farnborough be safe from getting relegated. So that's credit to them. They've done well, and I think he has 3 assists as well. Boyd has 3 assists as well, so he's been doing really well there. In terms of any of the others, I haven't seen much. Well, Forest Green Rovers are doing well, and obviously you've got Kanu and Ashkar that are up there. They've been really instrumental to that team, and they're going to be, I believe they're promoted, aren't they? They'll be promoted under Robbie Savage. So there you go. There's that to add as well. But yeah, all the other teams and all the other players are doing really well at the moment, which is good to see. There's some positivity around Reading, which is that their academy players are doing really well. The one player I do feel kind of bad for, and I'm happy to say this, is Sean Patton. I feel like he shouldn't have been recalled if he wasn't going to get game time, and he's not getting game time at the moment. I feel like he would have it would have been really good for him to just continue at Aldershot. And because he was banging in goals, he was just picking up some great form. And then obviously Jack Marriott being injured kind of pulled him away from that. But since then, he played three games, started 1, and then came on substitute for 2 other games. So yeah, you have to feel for the lad. So, but he's working on the James Beattie, and apparently he's working really well. So that's the main thing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I thought he was recalled because he was needed, not just to sit on the bench. But there we go. Right, I think that brings us to the end for this week. Hopefully we'll be back with some more positivity, because it's been a couple of negative episodes recently. But thanks as ever for joining me, Jim and Rami. And thanks to anyone that's listened to this and us moan for 22 minutes. We'll be back. We'll speak to you next time. Until then, enjoy the rest of the football.